Tamid 32. עשרה דברים שאל אלכסנדר מוקדון את זקני הנגב. So while we mentioned the sun, there is a 10 point that Alexander the Great, the great king, asked the elder of the south. It's a big question what exactly meant to say the elder of the south. There are those who hold that it was the wise people of the south. There are those who say that the south expressed wisdom. Alexander the Great, it's another question what exactly we meant. There are some say that it's a 323 BCE. Others say that it's a little earlier, but it's in the neighborhood of, for the sake of understanding, about 2,000 years ago. So he asked the sages, or the elder of the south, 10 questions. Question 1, 32, Tamid, Tractate Tamid, page 32a. מן השמיים לארץ רחוק או ממזרח למערב. The distance between the heaven and earth, or from east to west, what's the greatest distance? In a very simple, in our understanding, he asked a question, a very, very basic query about astronomy, which means he wants to know the distance. Again, we have to remember the time, but the way that they answered, they said, אמרו לו ממזרח למערב. The distance between east to west, it's much greater. Why? תדע שהרי חמה במזרח. Know that it's from that the sun is in the east, which means near sunrise. הכל מסתכלים בה, everyone can look at it. חמה במערב, when the sun is in the west, near sunset, again, הכל מסתכלים בה, everyone see it. חמה באמצע רקיע, but when the sun is in the middle of the sky, אין הכל מסתכלים בה. Why? Because it's so bright, it's so lightning, so people don't look at it. So it's much further from the earth, and when it's the east or the west, then it's basically the center, the middle of the sky. והחכמים אומרים, the sages said, זה וזה שווים כאחד. It's equal, שנאמר, כי גבוה שמיים על הארץ, גבר חסדו על יראיו, כי רחוק מזרח ומערב, הרחיק ממנו את פשעינו. This is a sentence in the book of Tehillim, book of Psalms, that said, for us, high as heaven and is above the earth, his kindness overwhelmed those who fear him. So, and then they say, as far as east to west, God, the distance, our sins from us. ואיחד מנהל נפיש, now if these measures were more than others, נכתוב טובה וכאוד נפיש. Both, when they talk about God kindness, should be written in comparable to one to the other, which means that it should be in that sense the same distance. Now, in order for us to go a little deeper and understand, it's I would like to use the teaching of the Zohar. One of the teachings said that God created the world in two different aspects. One, it's the God that it's transcendental, which is outside of the world, and one is a living God that within the world, that He dwells within everything in this world. So in that sense, when we talk about distance, it's the centrality of God that it's applied to every phase. So that's the key point they try to make here. So the rabbis ask, ve'ela. So they ask why what's the point of the chachamim here? Ve'ela chama be'emtza rakia ma'itama. If you turn the distance between heaven and earth is the same from east to west, then the sun is in the middle of the sky. Ma'itama enakol mistaklim ba. So why not everyone look at it? In that sense, if the sun is not closer to the moon, So why someone look at not at the moon in that? So the Maharal explains that it can be the opposite way. Sometimes you see more in one way, but it's actually much distance, etc., etc. So the Gemara said, "Mishum dekai lehedya," because that time the sun it stand in the very clear way, velo chase lemide, and nothing cover, which means a person stand in the middle of the day, right? Mm-hmm. So is nothing distance between the brightness of the sun and the person. So he hardly can see the brightness. If you look too much, it can be damage to his seeing ability. However, when you look at the sun when it's close to the east or the west, there are mountains and valleys that cover the strong lights of the sun. So it's not so much, strong and not so damaged. Okay. In our simple way, the reality is that the distance between east to west, it's in that sense much more than the other. So the big question why all of that need to be discussed, the Maharal I think is the best one, who said that the discussion is go in a different level. And what do I mean by that? So I'll show you the second question, and then you see why it's a much deeper level. Because the second question he asked, Amar lahem, hashamayim nivru tchila o haaretz nivra. What come first? Did God created heaven or the earth? Amru shamayim nivru tchila. The heaven started first. Shenemar bereshit bara Elokim hashamayim v'et haaretz. It said in the beginning of the Torah, at the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So he tried to say that it's a reason for that. You have to remember that he was a student of Aristotle. That was his teacher. So because of that, he has all these philosophical questions. He wants to know the deepest meaning. The Midrash brought Netivot Shalom, the great previous Slonim Rebbe, explained it in his book that the Midrash said that Shammai and Hillel, not Beit Shammai, the Shammai himself, Shammai and Hillel have a dispute over that. What's first? Heaven and earth. And the sages said that they are equal. So what does that mean? So he explained it. He said, according to the Maharal too, that we are basically have the two different entities in our life. One is the spiritual part, and one is the material part. So the deepest question here, what comes first? What's the needs should take precedence? So the first opinion said the heaven, the spiritual part of our needs, take precedence before our physical. Then the sages come up and they said, wait, if you tell me that one opinion Shammai and Hillel, one say the Shammai is first the earth, the heaven, one say the earth, we say that it's equal. What does that mean? There is an opinion that said that every material matter that the person involved, he can involve in spirituality. Meaning, that's the famous teaching of the great Ari and his students, that you take every material and you turn it to spiritual. For example, you eat, you said, I'm not eating for the sake of the fun and enjoyment, I'm eating in order to serve Hashem better. In other words, I'm sustaining my physical need in order to serve God better. So in that mindset, then you may say, like the opinion, the Aretz, the earth, it's more important. But if we say that one opinion hold that the heaven, meaning the spiritual, is more important. It's like the first, because the first God instituted the neshama, the soul. He, or the others say that the first he created form of dust, and then he formulated from a dust, blew in his nostrils the soul of life and made him a living being. Then you said that now it's the earth first. So the sages said that they are both equal, which means in the language of the Zoharic language they use the word התהווה הקדוש ברוך הוא למצוא לו דירה בתחתונים. The Almighty God desired to have his dwelling on earth. Dwelling on earth, meaning God wanted to be involved both in the living life of a person, in a person's dining room, in a person's day-to-day mundane things. By the same token, he is the creator who is in that sense transcendental. So that's the meaning of what comes first. Third question. אמר להן, אור נברא תחילה או החושך, אמרו לו, מלתדה אין לה פתר. אוי אוי אוי. Right, the third question, what's the third question? He said that what come first? The light? What decree first? The darkness or the light? So they said, we have no resolution, which means we don't have the capability to answer this question. I like it because sometimes there are people who try to answer every question. So the sages asked, they said, "V'neimu lechoshech nivrat tchila." Why they don't tell him that darkness created first? Dichtiv, it's written, "V'ha'aretz hayta tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom." They said that the earth was astonishingly empty with darkness upon the surface of the deep. Ve'adar omer, and right after that it's written, Vayomer Elokim yehiyu vayio. Then afterward God said, let there be light, and it was light. So Savrei, they want to say, they consider it dangerous to give him a real true answer. Why? Dilma ate leshayulei. Maybe Alexander will ask, Ma lemala u ma lemata, ma lefanim u ma leachor. They're afraid that he will ask, if you tell me that, what is above and what is below, what is before and what is after, which means that the limit of the universe, it's a terrible challenge for the whole concept of the respect to God. There is a Mishnah in Chagiga that said that anybody who look at the four things, scrutinize four things, is better not to be born. So one of them, it's someone who's not respect the Creator, one who created him. So the Rambam explained that one explained the whole idea of the creation, that it's a very enigmatic. It's like God's inscrutable will. And the second, the whole idea of the chariot that Ezekiel speaks about, God's chariot and the pleroma, all these entities around God, all these chariot and those who say holy, 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 and all these entities around the great chariot, this is something that it's expression of the greatness of God. But in that sense, it's hard for us to comprehend. A person that doesn't have the science background and look at all of this, he can ask those questions: what above, what below, what before, what after. He can go insane in that sense. So therefore, it's better not. He shouldn't. In that sense, better he shouldn't create. So the rabbi said that why they said that in the first place that the heaven it's first. Amar lahem meikar asavur. Initially he thought akrai be'alma udaka sha'ir, that he was simply asking about the plain meaning of the verse at the beginning of the Torah. Kevan dechazu dekahadar sha'ir. But once they saw that he asked again and again about sublime subjects, Savre, they thought, Lo neimalei, we should not give him a real answer, Dilma, let it come to ask this question, what's above, what's below, what's go and after. He said to them, who is called wise? Who is the wise man? He will see the future upcoming, future development. So the whole idea of who is seeing there, someone who prophesy will see what's the result of a person's action. The Rambam explains on the Ethic of the Fathers, the 2nd chapter, that it's applied not only to the spiritual world, which is you have to see the upcoming of certain behavior, but it's also the physical world, which is you can see some actions and you see the result. It's not that you're a prophet, because you open any newspaper, they always try to tell you that they're true prophet, and usually they're destined to be wrong. But here it means that the person prepare himself, recalculate certain actions in order to be prepared for the next step. 5th question. Amar lahen Eiden mitkere gibor. Who is called hero? Amru lei ezeu gibor hakovesh et yitzro. Who is the real hero? One who sublime, who overcome his evil inclination. Right? The beauty of the heart explained that the biggest war is the person against his evil inclination. That's so hard sometimes to fight himself. So the Mishnah said in the ethics, they said that there are 4 things, 4 traits that people should change the pyramid, which means instead of looking in a pyramid in a certain way that the world looks, we should turn around the other way, which is there are 4 traits that people respect the most. That Ben Zoma said. They said wealth, they said strength, power, and they said respect, right? The honor, and is another one, right? Wisdom. Mm-hmm. So Ben Azai said, which is very connected to here, he said that all these 4 traits are taken the wrong way. Why? Usually, whom you give a respect, whom you think that he's the wise person, someone who's teacher and is a big wise man. So Ben Zoma said in the Mishnah, no, the real respect is someone who learns from everyone, or this way here that foresee the outcome of his actions, which is different than the way people think. And then when it's come to strength, who is a strong person? Not like the teenager, you walk in the rooms, you see all these big muscle people, muscle heroes, sports heroes. That's not the hero. Big hero is someone who has certain desire, certain inclination, and is able to subjugate his inclination for good. The same as wealth. People appreciate and look up at someone wealthy, but who is the real wealthy? Someone who is happy in his lot. And with honor, people usually honor someone that everybody honors him. But they said the real honor is someone who's honoring others. So all these 4 traits can look in a different way. So that's one of them. Here, the 6th question, Amar lahem Eiden mikre ashir, who is called rich? And he said, Amru le'ezeu ashir hasameach bechelko, who is rich? One who is happy in his lot. In other words, he is happy, he's thanking God for everything. The Mishnah said at the end of the Tractate Brachot, the person should be thankful for the sadness the same as the goodness. So in that sense, in every measure, ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, you should love your Lord your God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, resources. So they said, bechol midah u'midah shu moded lecha, in every measure that the Almighty give you, you should be very thankful. So he's not looking at his neighbor lot, he's happy with what he has. 7. Amar lahem ma ya'avid inish v'yichyeh. He asked them what a person should do in order to live. Amru lo אמרו לימית את עצמו. He should invite him, he should basically take place of some type of labor that he's not necessarily crazy about. In other words, a person should not say, this type of labor is not for me. I'm too big for that. It's not respected enough for my qualification, for my quality. Right? Is another idea is that he should not dwell on the body's needs, or the way that the Mishnah said in the Ethics, the last tractate, that the person should subjugate everything for Torah. He should be humble himself in order to live. But Rashi here said something that it's fascinating. You don't see it in the commentary, but I find it fascinating. So let me translate the Rashi here from the text itself. השמח בחולקו במה שנותן לו המקום. Where is a person happy? Whatever God's giving. ימית את עצמו, which means, what he said, the person should kill himself? No, he said, ימית את עצמו, that the person should subjugate, he should kill himself, he should toil away himself. So the Rashi said, ישפיל את עצמו. ישפיל את עצמו, meaning that the person should reach a point that he be so humble that people have compassion upon him, and then he'll have a length of life. Why? So he said, the eighth question the Alexander asked, Ma ya'avid inish v'yamut? What should a man do to die? So they said, the answer, yechayet atzmo. They said he should in living himself, he should do the opposite of what we said before. So Rashi here said something fascinating. And he said, Yagbia et atzmo, a person should make himself a supercilious, a big shot, right? V'ikan ubo. So as a result of that, other people will be jealous of him because he make himself big. Veyamut, and he will die. So he will die. There's a why. So Rashi said here, יגביה את עצמו מתוך כך יתנו בו הבריות עין רעה ויקנו בו. When a person uplifted himself in such a level, other people will be so envious of him that they give him an evil eye, which means there be such a level of jealousy. Veyamut. The Talmud said in another place that many people die from tremendous ayin hara. Ayin hara is like evil eye. The some Sidurim, the Nusach Sfarad said that please God save me from ayin hara, from evil eye. So evil eye is basically the idea that people are so jealous of someone that as a result he, God forbid, will die. Velimducha chachamim, Rashi said, and the sages teaches us, that's a powerful Rashi. She'adam harotze sheyichyeh, if a person wants to live a proper life, a length of life, a healthier life, yashpil et atzmo, he should humble himself. Ve'irachamu alav habriot, and people have compassion upon him. Ve'yichyeh shanim harbe, and live a long life. Umiga'ava, when a person is arrogant, yimna et atzmo, he avoided himself from that because he's arrogant, shelo yiketzu yamav ve'yamut belo ito, that his life shouldn't be shortened and he will die earlier. So you see this fascinating Rashi, very deep Rashi, that give us guidance in life. A person should be very careful when it's getting those promotions and those mass recognition. He should be careful with all of that because he can, God forbid, shorten a life. So it's a lot the issue with enviness and jealousy and things that is a self-destructive here. The ninth question. Amar lahem, ma ya'avid inish v'yitkabel al biryata. how a person reach a point that you will see very well by other people. One of the issues that people have sometimes is that they care what other people said, what other people's opinion, how other people view me, etc. Amru yisnei malchu veshaltan. He should maintain an aversion to loyalty and governors, which means he should distance himself from ruling authorities, lest they suspect him or accuse him of informing on them. Which means the idea, the Rosh and the Maral explain that a person should distance himself from honor. Basically, he should distance himself from powerful job, from it's like the fellow that came and asked a question. It was a big executive. They offered him a job in the private company that doesn't pay her well, versus he get a job to be one of the advisor of one of the senators. And by being advisor to that senator, he basically constantly meet the president and meet all these people, and he will be constantly on the picture and everything. And the pay double. So I advise him to take this small job in the half of the salary without big recognition, because that's what the text here said. Yisne malchot v'shni, and the Rosh explained it, that he should stay away from being in a power controlling other people, and there are people who give everything in life just to be in power. Amarlu, he responded to them and he said, Didi tava mididchu. Didi, meaning my advice, right, is better, my approach is better than yours. Yaham malku veshaltan. He should make himself familiar with royalty and government. V'yaved tivu im bnei nasha. Right? That if a person is connected to government, can do for people a lot of favor, and make him popular in the eye of people, because he recommended to the others, to the government. But in other words, he tried to say that when a person reaches the highest authority, he can be more helpful to other people. That's usually the claim for people who are running for office. They said, I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it to help other people. How true is it? I don't know, but that's what he tried to say. He says, no, usually people want these jobs, not for themselves, but to help other people. 10th question. Amar lahem, B'yama ya'el lemeidar or b'yabashta ya'el lemeidar. What is better to live? In the sea or in the dry land? Usually, it looks like that because it's the highest dangers. When you are sailing, in other words, when you are constantly in the water, so as a merchandise, as an import-export, it can generate more when you're involved with those risks. Amrulei, the elder said to him, it's better to live in the dry area. The hakol nachote yama lo miyat vadat hona besarik le'abeshta. Because what happened is, the Mishnah said the Gemara also said it in Nida, that the sailor are the righteous people, in a sense, because they're praying to Hashem all the time. They're afraid that something will happen to the boat or something. So he asked that question, and they said, look, the truth is, the people who are on the boat, they not come down until they reach the dry land, because they're always afraid that something may happen to them. Amar le'en eidin minchon hakim yatir. Who is the most wisest person, right? It was Maharsha said it was one of the elderly people that was there, and he figured out that that's the man who have the most of these questions. Answer. Amru lo kulana kachad hashav yad. We all equal. Behakol milta de amart lana behad patan alach. We all, because you see, if you want to blame someone for those answers, they're afraid of him. Says we're all equal. We get together and we answer as one voice. אמר להם, מה דן התריסון תריסטון לקיבלי? In other words, he felt that they're not really wants to be part of their lives. He said the reality is you guys are not married to my guys, my people, and you don't even intermingle with us, you don't sit and drink with us, but don't you think that we are in control and we are the biggest and we are the powerful? Amrulei Satan anatzach. That's a very strong answer. They said this is the Satan temporarily winning situation, which means we, because of our sins, we are not independent and we depend. Rosh explained here that because we are not independent, we are dependent on you. It's a result of the Satan. Because of our sin, the Satan is in control, but all that control is temporarily, which indirectly said that you're representing something that it's a very transient, it's brief. Amar lahem, how dare you to talk to me like that, right? Ha'ana mekatlin yadchon b'gzerat malchin. Right? I have the ability to kill all of you in the decree of the king. So some rabbis said that it was before he was the king, or some said that he meant as a king. Amrulei, they said for sure, Shaltan biad malka, the power, it's in the control of the king. Velo ya'el lemalka kezav. But what happened? You promise us, when you come to ask all of those 10 questions, what did you promise? I promise that I'll not do you any harm if you answer my questions. So, now all of a sudden we answer to you, Alexander the Great, your questions, and in exchange you want to kill us. It's not proper for the king to lie. In other words, you told us that we can answer with no fear, and all of a sudden you threaten to kill us. Miyad albesh yathon levushim de argaman. So right away, Alexander, he gave them the most beautiful robe of purple. Veshad menicha de dahava al tzavrehon. He cast a gold garment upon the neck, which is the symbol of kingdom, symbol of greatness. Amar lahem, this is a very deep and beautiful story. Amar lahem be'ena de azil lemdinat Afriki. He wants to go to a place, it's an ancient time called Phrygia, which is is south of the Black Sea. Most probably is in the west of Turkey or something, in that area. But anyway, he wants to go to war. He likes to continue expanding. Usually that's what happened in the history of the world, that the king not happy with one area or one land, they try to expand their control to more and more countries. Amru lei lo matzet azlach. You can't go there. Why? The faskei harei choshech. Because on the way, there are certain area that it's a very dark, right? If you go to a certain area in Turkey, you see that there are certain places where very dark. I read in a book, Sharei Torah, that he said that this is a Himalaya mountain, but it's a big question what exactly he meant. But anyway, when you go there with all the forces in those days, is horses and swords and things like that, you need to pass a lot of dark area. Amar lehem lo saged lo azlina. That's contrary. I just love that challenge to go there and take over that more countries, and even it's the dark on the way. And that's the reason why I asked you to give me a clear advice. So what should I do in order to be successful? You should take donkeys that come from Libya or something like that, that they have the ability to walk in a darkness the same as light. The Libyan donkeys are well known as a very strong donkeys, that they have the ability to see what others cannot see. Right, so it's not just that you take these donkeys. You should bring also large spools of flax cord, uktar behai gisa, and tie one end to something on this side on the mountain of darkness. Take the spools with you, dechiatit beurcha nekitat begavaihu, so that when you come back, you will be able to take the cord in hand, ve'atit le'atrach, and thus return to your point of departure. Okay? Avad ache ve'azal. So Alexander did what they went, and he went to this regime. It's the Afriki. Okay, it's not. It shows you that this man was so much with himself that he wants to go around the world, to control the world, and he always tried to expand it. He wants to go. Some say that he went so crazy. The Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer said that he wants to go to heaven. It's like Babylonian Tower. You know, he tried to control everywhere and everywhere. And the Megillat Tanit said that he even tried to get to our temple, to the Holy of Holies, and a snake came out and bit him. It's a lot of stories about his power, tremendous desire for power. He reached a certain city, and what happened? It's all was comprised entirely by women. So there are two versions, the rabbi said. Either the husbands were away or hiding, or it was really controlled by women. It's a lot of idea what's involved. Some say that, like Midrash Rabbah said, that the women control all of that in order to save their husbands. Anyway, so he wanted to battle with them in order to conquer their city. Right? He wants to control that city. Amrulei, so the women said to him, Ikat lan lach lan, if you go and kill us, what did people say about you? Big deal. Nashe katal. He is a big shot over women, so he killed all the women. So what good is it for your name? Ikatlina lach, but if we as a woman go to war against you and we will kill you, Yomru, everyone will say about you. They dealing with his ego, right? Malka, the Katlu Nashe, he's a big loser because this is a king that women controlled him and killed him. So it's not a big heroism and not honor, and his ego was very important, right? So he said to them, he answered and he said, Amar le'en aituli nahama. Okay, I'm not going to fight you, give me bread, I'm hungry. Aitulei nahama de dahava aputa de dahava. So they brought him a loaf of bread made out of gold in a golden table. Why did they do that? That's not what he asked for, but he did it on purpose. It's a very wise woman. Amar lehu. So Alexander said to them, in the confused, Mi achlein shenahama de dahava. Why do you bring me a golden bread? Show me a human that eats golden bread. Amrulei. So the women said to him, Ela inahama bait. If you really want bread, if you're really hungry and you want bread, lo havalach be'atra naama lemeichal, leshakel ve'aitet le'acha. So You need to bother to come here so long distance to eat bread? Is not enough bread the place that you came from? Which means the implied moral tells us that his desire, his ego, Alexander's ego is so high that he goes so far just to have this ego issue to control and have the power over more and more lands. Some others said that the great Reb Chaim Shmulevitz explained it, that that's applied to what we said in Mishlei, in the book of Proverbs, Ohev kesef lo yisba kesef. Someone who has desire for money, so he'll never be satisfied with what we have. He is constantly in the search of getting more and more money. So in that sense, they imply, they want to tell him that since you're running after gold, so you never ever know a satisfaction, because the gold, it will be like a bread, which means with something that it's not really necessary, you make it necessary. Something that it's really superfluous, there's no desire, he make it, and therefore he constantly in a search to getting more and more. So that's what they imply when the women serve Alexander. Instead of giving him bread, they gave him gold. Kinafik ve'ate, when Alexander left that city, Katava Bava Dimchoza, he wrote at the gate of the city, Anna, I, Alexander Mogdon Haveti Shatya. I am Alexander the Great, I was stupid. Ade Ateti Lindinat Africa Idenashaya Ve'alfin Etzai Minashaya. I was dumb, I was mourn until I reached this part of this city with the women, and I came to them and they give me, which means that they advise him in such a way that they give him some wisdom in his brain, which means that in their wisdom they teach me an important lesson, to stop searching for power and to be content in my part. So when he returned to his land, he sat close to one of those flowing river, and he ate bread. He hold a very salty fish, that he cleaned them with the local river. Suddenly those fish turned to life. We need to understand it, but in a simple way, he said that this came from the Garden of Eden. Like they have again resuscitation of life. Is another opinion. He took this water and he threw it on his face. Is another opinion. That he reached the point of Garden of Eden, which we need to understand what does that mean. But in a simple way, he reached a very high point. Rama Kale, he raised his voice and he said, Pitchuli Baba, open for me the gate. This gate is for Hashem, that's what said in Tehillim. Only righteous come in. You Alexander, you're not righteous. Amar Lehon, Alexander responds, but I'm a king. Mechashev Chashivna, Habulimide, I'm an important person, let me in. Yavule Gulgal Tachada. They give you a cornea of eye of a human, which again we need to understand if it's that anthropomorphic or for real, but anyway. I Atye, so Alexander brought him to his country. Takle lechule dahava v'chaspa didei ba'adei. He took a lot of money and put it there. Lo ave mitkele. They cannot, and the weight was so heavy, they couldn't compare to anything else. Amar lo Rabbanan, so the sages said to him, my high, what is this? Amrei, Gulgalta dena de visra udma lo krasava, which means that this implication to eye of a person that never satisfied of what he has. Amar lo mimai de'acheru, how do you know that? Shakol klei afra v'chasi, and take a little dust and cover it. Ule'altar tekal, so you take this, the weight, the real weight, right? Dichtiv Shaul v'avadon lo tizbana, right? Thank you very much.